M&A Advisor is very pleased to be joined now by Bob Rycroft, Managing Director of TDN2K. Bob, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. We appreciate the chance.
Now, I'm going to ask you for background about your company and what that stands for.
Okay. TDN2K stands for Transforming Data into Knowledge. It doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but we have an awful lot of information about the data in the restaurant industry, and we want to be more than just a data provider. The idea of the concept of the company is to provide insights into the data, so numbers themselves don't tell a story, but when you can put context around it, when you can come at a problem from several different perspectives, whether it's in the restaurants, whether it's HR metrics or consumer metrics, that's where the real knowledge and the insight comes. What's actionable in the restaurant business? How can we help our members become more successful?
And so in that regard, what is unique about your company that you are so focused on data?
Well, we're vertical in the restaurant business. That's the only place we work. Our data isn't syndicated. Our data isn't surveyed. It comes directly from the client companies. So they provide us information. We, in turn, provide benchmark data for them to let them know where they are versus their competitors. And we help them answer the question, is it me or the market? Is it because I'm doing so well, or is it because I've got tailwind from the market? And not only that, but it helps them identify pockets of opportunity. So if I'm particularly strong here, what can I learn? And if I'm particularly weak, what can I do better? How can I identify myself?
Bob, when you analyze all of this data, what can you tell us about what the companies that are successful are doing better than the companies that are struggling?
So much of restaurant success depends on the non-financial piece of labor. Today, labor is an incredibly important element in the success of restaurants, and people are finding it very, very difficult to get and maintain staff. Unemployment's at an all-time low. Turnover is at an all-time high. So a key is making sure that, number one, you've got a relevant brand message, that you have a long-term focus and the ability to build a community, but you staff it with good people. And it all starts from the top with people creating relationships. In today's environment, folks want to be associated with a company that does more than just, serve meals or widgets or whatever. They want to have a purpose. They want to work for a company that has meaning. And I think that management teams that can create that environment, can create and maintain that culture, and it's not a short-term deal, it's a long-term focus. Those are the ones that we think are successful. As we've taken a look at the market, as I said before, we have an ability to look at HR data, sales and performance data, as well as the voice of the consumer. And we see a linkage between performance and service more so than food or beverage or even ambiance. So it's incredibly important to put focus on the people, to make sure that the service is there and it can deliver on the brand promise.
Is it still that the restaurants that are the strongest are the ones charging the lower, like the fast food restaurants? How do they do in comparison to, say, your medium-priced restaurants that you see the chains, you see in the malls, et cetera?
We break the industry down into 6 segments. We start with QSR, quick service, and then we go all the way up to fine dining. And in all honesty, all of these segments are struggling in today's marketplace. Sales have been down in 2016 and 2017. It's a tough market. Every segment has got its own problems. Overall, I think you could probably find cause to say we're overbuilt. There's too many restaurants, there's too many seats. We're adding restaurants at a pace that's faster than population growth. So I think a lot of it is an overcapacity issue, which puts companies and brands that are a little bit weaker financially at risk, because you've got this steady fallout of top-line customers, and hopefully they've got enough balance sheet headwind or financial resources, they can kind of weather this slow attrition in customers, because it's a difficult environment.
Have the customers in 2018, restaurant customers, do you think changed? Have they changed since customers of the past?
Oh, I think so, immensely. I mean, think about the way you use restaurants, the way I use restaurants. There are so many more opportunities available now for food. I can get a to-go meal at the grocery store. I can get it from a food truck. I can get a meal kit. I can go to a convenience store. So I think that there's this fragmentation. There's also the movement of the market towards, call it healthier or perceived healthy, higher quality. As I said before, think of Smashburger or Five Guys, and a movement towards more orientation around convenience and speed. And that doesn't mean sit-down restaurants are dead. It just means that they have to refocus and make sure that they can maintain their core clients as well as appeal to the new folks. It's a real difficult balance.
And it's always a risky time, I guess, to go into the restaurant business. But if somebody watching this is dead set on opening the next greatest restaurant, what would be the overarching advice?
Oh, wow. I'd say make sure that you know who you are. Make sure that you have a point of differentiation in the marketplace, because what the restaurant industry doesn't need is another Me Too brand. Focus on people. I can't emphasize that enough. Your staff will never be able to provide the kind of service to the guest if they're not getting that same kind of feeling from you. And be in it for the long term. Be properly capitalized. I think that as an independent operator, a lot of them think that some of this stuff will happen, but you have to be properly capitalized. So it can be extraordinarily lucrative, and it can also be kind of a tough deal too.
Certainly can. In addition to being part of a panel discussing this very topic today, you also had the opportunity to listen to other speakers doing different roundtables here at the symposium. Why was it important to you to come here and to meet other leaders in various sectors and to hear what's going on?
Well, as industry experts in a particular vertical, we have daily contact with operators, primarily in terms of their performance in the restaurants. And they look to us for insight about, hey, what are other folks doing? What are some of the best practices? How can I improve where I am versus where I want to be or where I think the market is going? This kind of audience tells me what their conversations they're having when I'm not in the office. So it helps me understand more about what is important to them from a financial standpoint, particularly, but also from a growth perspective. Why are they asking me the questions that they are, and how is the information that I'm providing to them able to help them answer some of the questions that they might be getting from financial firms, from banks, from wherever. It helps us become better at serving them.
Bob, it was a pleasure meeting you and having you here on M&A TV. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Had a great time.
Thanks.